All right, Kenman here, and it's time for another deep dive. We're in a submarine, all the way to the bottom. A closer look, if you will, at a knife that I have owned for a certain amount of time and have been able to establish an opinion that I can now share with you. Before we start, I'm not sponsored by anyone, and I purchase everything at retail price. I do these videos because I love discussing knives and sharing info and ideas with others. If you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to comment below. Today is the CJRB Gobi in style. What are we talking about today? Yes. So, CJRB Gobi AR RPM 9 blade steel. Crazy looking shaped blade. Got the G10 scales. I dyed this. This was jade, and we gave it this cool purple, which gives it a two-tone. The orangish gold accent around the pivot collar and the backspacer was a standard issue. So it was jade with that gold already, so it was really easy to kind of come up with a cool combo for it. Gobi is an interesting knife. I'd say it's more of a, what do you call it? It's maybe a little less functional and a little more flashy. The way that tip kind of has a scimitar kind of swoop up, a little bit harder to control the points. But it's just cool looking. Flipper tab only. You don't really have any other options. You can't really get in there to flick it out or anything like that. But that flipper tab works really good. The detent on this is tight at the bottom. Ooh, that's kind of hard to actually pull it out. Boom. Come in there. So right when it gets to it, that helps it pull in tight. So basically, I'll try to fail and I push as light as I possibly can, and it still flips completely out. That detent is strong enough that by the time you break it free, the pretty much guaranteed that the blade's going to flip out. I've had some, where you flip it and it kind of stops right there, and this one, I'm just going to, weak as possible. I think it's going to fire out every time. It doesn't have a super drop shut. You kind of shake it a few times. If you give it one big shake, you can kind of get it to drop fairly easy. But if it doesn't right away, it does kind of go down. It's a lighter blade, so you kind of have to get that momentum in it to get it to swing down. Pocket clip can be swapped to the other side, so the lefties can enjoy this, like myself. When I put the knife, when I take them apart and put them back together, often it ends up improving the quality. The action gets a little bit better. Maybe it's because you're allowed to tighten it and dial it in, right? But you can see the blade centering is right back in the center where it's supposed to be. There is no play left or right there. Blade is solid. That flipper tab just works. This is a cool knife. Like I said, I would almost kind of consider this to be more of a design heavy knife, less than functional. Because, some knives, the way they're designed, I'd grab another knife. We could do an example, but I've already made a promise to myself. I do these deep dives. I'm only one knife. One knife. It's tough for me. I'm easily distracted. And I got a bunch of knives on the table over here, over there, down there, behind me. Today, it's just the CJRB Gobi. I think what they did with that pivot and with this backspacer is a really, really good touch, a really good accent. So even if you were to get this with just a black handle or whatever, one of the standard colored handles, along with that accent, gives it a nice little tritone look. Flips out, closes, fun knife. Inexpensive knife. I think these are only around $30, $35. I know times change, but it's kind of a budget knife from the CJRB line. But AR RPM 9 blade steel is decent enough. G10 scales are nice. It's contoured, So if you look from the side, it's got just a little bit of a curve top to the sides. So it feels like a nice rounded handle in your hand. My index finger gets pretty far out there. I have a larger hand. Someone else's hand might only go to here. I got super long fingers. But you can control the cuts fairly well with this. It isn't super fidgety. Like I said, it's only the flipper tab. So, I mean, you're looking at that, or you've seen me do this a few times. But it works really good with this because you don't even need to, like I said, the amount of pressure required to get that to pop all the way out. It still kind of has a fidget factor and fun. And I think what's the fun to this is the shape, the style. You take that out and it's got a classy kind of an interesting look to it. People can enjoy that for the look of the blade rather than that. And that big belly, if you're doing long cuts like that, split stuff wide. What's everyone think about CJRB Budget Gobi? This is a cool knife. It's got that big lanyard hole on there, which also this is kind of at the end, so I guess they would call that kind of a skull breaking implement. I don't know. It's fun. How big is this? Let's take a look. It's definitely more of a full-size knife. Yeah, 8 1/4 top to bottom. Looking like a 3.5 inch blade to that spot. But it's also a 3.5, maybe close to 3 1/4 cutting surface with that belly. That's pretty cool. And like over 4.5, getting close to 4 3/4 when you get all the way to that nub on there. It's got a decent size to it too. It doesn't feel large in the hand, but it's long enough that, like I said, my long hand, that curve kind of forces your fingers in like this. But the way it's a natural squeeze, and if I kind of spread my fingers out and kind of get a little wide on it, still got some nub sticking out the end there. Decent knife. Good stuff. CJRB makes a lot of cool knives, a lot of cool things, in a big range. Some high end, some low end. I got a $200 CJRB over there. I got a $30 one right here, and they're both great. What is nice about this with your liner lock is it's got that really big flipper tab. So with both left or right, it's easy to kind of bring that down and catch that on your thumb, so then you can drop it shut. I have some knives where there isn't anything to really catch that on, so then if you kind of go too soon, the blade can come down fast, and kind of as a lefty, it's a lot more of a issue. With the righty, you're kind of over like this, and you're already kind of almost out of the way, as you can see that. But with the lefty, I have to reach all the way across with like more of your thumb. So look at how much is in the path right now. So then that blade can come right down. I've done it a couple of times, make a little nick, little cut right there. None of them were really bad that they didn't just bleed just for a little bit and go away. But when you have a larger little thing right there with that liner lock, it can be appreciated sometimes for that close, because you can just get in there and make sure that you're not going to worry about that. Ultimately, nice knife. It is recessed a little bit more right there, so that liner, and it's cool because it's all hidden in the scale, and it's only just this little bit sticking out, so you don't have any issues with pushing on that or causing some pressure on it. It's a great design. For a budget knife, this Gobi is fantastic. I can do nothing but recommend it. It's fun. If you like the shape of this, pick one up for sure. The price is right. That is going to be it for today. If you enjoy what you see, please hit that like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more. It helps me out, and I really appreciate it. CJRB Gobi. Someone purchased this one. It's about to leave my possession, as with many of my knives. Stay sharp. We'll see you soon.